Hey guys, welcome back. This is Mr. Boyd. In today's algebra lesson, we're going to look at using square roots to solve quadratic equations. So when do we use square root method? When there's a quantity squared, such as x plus 5 squared equals 9, or when there's not a middle term or a bx term. Okay? How are we going to do this? We're going to isolate the squared term or expression. We're going to take the square root of both sides, and if necessary, we'll solve for the remaining equation for x. Okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Look at our first example here. So in our first example, to isolate the squared term, we need to add 75 to both sides. That's going to give us 3x squared equals 75. Then we would take and divide by 3. That's going to give us x squared equals 25. Now that we've isolated the squared term, we can take the square root of both sides. It's going to leave us with x equals plus or minus 5. Okay guys, let's take a look at example number 2. It's a little bit different, but we're going to use the same strategies. In this problem, we're going to add 50 to both sides, because again, we need to isolate the squared term before we can take the square root of both sides. So 1/2 x squared equals 50. Next, we'll multiply both sides by 2. Sorry about that, Mel. It's going to leave us with x squared equals 100. Then we will take the square root of both sides. So we see x equals plus or minus 10. Don't forget that a square root has a positive and a negative root. Okay, so for our next example, as you can see here, we have a quantity squared. So for this example, we're going to take the square root of both sides because we already have our expression, our squared expression isolated. That's going to leave me with x minus 3 equals plus or minus 6. So to solve this one, I need to solve for x minus 3 equals positive 6, or x minus 3 equals negative 6. As you can see, we're going to have two solutions. I'll add 3 to both sides. Over here, I'll also add 3 to both sides. And so that's going to leave me with x equals 9, or x equals negative 3. So my solution set here would be negative 3, 9. Okay. Moving on to our next example. You can see that I'm multiplying by 3 here. So to isolate the squared term, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. That's going to give me x minus 12 squared equals 5. And then at this point, I will take the square root of both sides. That's going to give me x minus 12 equals plus or minus square root of 5. Let's pull out a calculator here. Okay, the square root of 5 is 2.24. Okay, so then I would need to solve that for x minus 12 equals 2.24, the positive root, or x minus 12 equals negative 2.24. Here I would add 12 to both sides. It's going to give me x equals 14.24. I would add 12 here. Well, let's see, that's going to be 12 minus 2.24. Where's my calculator? 12 minus 2.24. That's going to leave me with 9.76. So my two solutions for this equation is 9.76 and 14.24. For these next couple, we've got a couple of things we need to do to isolate the squared term. So in this one, the first thing we're going to do is subtract 2 from both sides. It's going to leave me with 3 times x plus 3, x minus 3 squared equals 34. Then we'll divide both sides by 3, which will leave us with x minus 3 squared equals, let's pull out that calculator, 34 divided by 3. I'll give us 11.3 repeating. I'll round that off to 11.33. Now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. It's going to leave me with x minus 3 on the left side. And then let's see, what is the square root of 11.3? That was wrong. 11.33, I want square root, not squared, would be 3.37. Don't forget that has a positive root and a negative root. So then to finish this up, we would do x minus 3 equals 3.37, or x minus 3 equals negative 3.37. We would add 3 to both sides. So x equals 6.37, or we add 3 over here, x would equal negative 0.37. So here my solution set for this one would be negative 0.37 or 6.37. Excuse me. And for our last example, we need to add 5. It's going to leave us with 1/2 times x minus 12, quantity squared, equals 20. Next, we'll multiply both sides by 2. And when I do that, that's going to give me x minus 12, quantity squared, equals 40. And I'll take the square root of both sides, like we've done on all the others. I'll leave us with x minus 12 equals plus or minus, let's see, the square root of 40 would be 6.32. So to finish solving this, I need to solve for both roots. X minus 12 equals 6.32, or x minus 12 equals negative 6.32. Here I need to add 12 to both sides. I need to do the same thing over here. Go ahead and add 12 to both sides. So this solution would be x equals 18.32. For the other one, let's see, negative 6.32 plus 12 would leave us with 5.68. So x equals 5.68. So my solution set for this equation would be 5.68 and 18.32. All right, guys, thanks for participating. Hope this helps. Have a great day.